bringing in now national security and foreign affairs analyst Waleed Phares. So Waleed, the hostage taker said he believed he was going to die. He figured he wouldn't walk out alive. So what was the purpose of taking hostages?
It's still a big question, but now we know more, that he came all the way from Britain, that he was convinced that this is a goal, a jihadi goal he wants to attain, because he wants to see her freed after she had committed to jihadi action against the United States military. Now, obviously himself, having acted alone, as now the FBI is confirming, may not be in the full knowledge of what those who inspired him wanted to achieve. So yes, tactically speaking, he was not able to achieve the goal. But this is an indicator, to me at least, that there is much more to the story, much wider net that is now focusing on freeing political prisoners for the jihadists in the United States.
I want to get back to that, but, you know, why now, though? If his motive was to get Lady al-Qaeda freed from this federal medical center there in Fort Worth, she's been in federal prison for almost 15 years for attempting to kill U.S. officers in Afghanistan. Again, why now? I know this has been a continuing effort, but what do you think drove him now? I mean, we get the proximity now, as Mike Tobin just reported. She's located there in prison at near the Colleyville Synagogue.
Well, she's part of that group of individual, let's call them jihadists at this point, who are imprisoned or jailed in the United States. Why they chose her first? Because she's highly symbolical in the milieu of the jihadists. But I have another theory, and I am going to release it right now because we can see the bigger picture. So we see an uptick in jihadi activities around the world since about September. That is linked, in my view, to the fact that they feel emboldened, they feel stronger. Why? Because of the jihadi takeover, the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. What's happening in Afghanistan now is that all these organizations are coming back. They are gathering. If we follow what they are saying on social media, they are saying that they're going to come back against our, our interest, United States interest, but also freeing the prisoners. So it is very possible, I don't have the confirmation, that he has been influenced by brains or individuals who encouraged him to take that action, knowing very well that the action could fail, but that's an incitement to others. And that would lead to a situation where we may find ourselves, I'm not saying for sure, but we've seen it before with the Iranians at least, of an exchange of prisoners. Hostages in general lead to exchange of prisoners. We will release them if you release her.
I mean, listen, it's an educated theory you have there, of course, Waleed, but so how do you see this snowballing from here now? Because, you know, Lady al-Qaeda, she's here in the U.S. You've got others that they perhaps would want to free worldwide. So where do we see this going if your theory is correct?
If the theory is correct, I cannot prove it, but the time will prove it. If we see other similar or comparable activities taking place in the future, if we see that now jihadi organizations overseas are saying, well, we will stop this if you release them, or we will exchange. God knows, we still have hostages in Afghanistan. Then this theory will be solid. It's only time that is going to confirm this or not.
So this guy, I don't need to say his name. We know his name. If he acted alone, but he's acting in concert with this theory that you're talking about. So how can authorities, the federal government, U.S. intel, military, how can communities also protect from these types of potential acts of violence?
Artel, on the ground of reality, all these religious centers or similar cultural centers should be educated and should be informed, should train themselves. That's not just against this kind of threat, against everything, against every violence, against these institutions. We cannot deploy across the United States or our police force for that matter. That is on the ground. But it's on the intel community to start looking inside the jihadi networks overseas to see what they are cooking. Are they really trying at this point in time to use the concept of exchange of prisoners, and this is only the tip of the iceberg, or not? That's really their work.
National Security and Foreign Affairs analyst Waleed Phares, always good to have you on with us. Thank you very much, Waleed.